Now, when you first start out in Amazon FBA, you're always going to see successful sellers posting their results on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. But the truth is, if you ever see a post that just has those orange bars from the Amazon Seller Central dashboard, this is revenue. It's not profit. I see so many people saying online, and it's not even unique to Amazon. I've seen people do it for Shopify as well, being like, I made 100 grand last month, or I made £1 million last month. It's revenue, it's not profit. You could be making a massive loss. It's just wrong. Now, people fall for this every single day, thinking that they can make hundreds of thousands of pounds every single month, and that is just simply not the case. Even when you're seeing those screenshots from Seller Toolkit, which include all the taxes, the VAT, all of that good stuff, these are still not 100% accurate. Now, Seller Toolkit is definitely miles better than the orange bars, but at the end of the day, it's gross profit. There are so many expenses that aren't fully accounted for in those figures. For example, there's VA salaries, company expenses, accounting fees, just to name a few. And as far as I know, in the Amazon FBA community, no one has ever posted their net profit before. And so I'm going to be doing a world first today and breaking down in this video the actual amount of profit that my Amazon FBA business makes me each month. Now, this will be the actual amount of money that ends up in my bank account. So without further ado, let's get into it. Just because you see that you've made £100 in sales does not mean that you made £100 in profit. You've got the actual cost of the item being the main cost in that, most likely. You've also got Amazon fees, shipping, and then you can also take into account stuff like, accountancy fees, VA salaries, all these other things that, take a hit out of your profit margin. From that £100, you might actually only end up with £50 after all your expenses and the fees and stuff like that. And now hopefully you're getting that item for 25 quid and you're making a good margin on it. You're making 25 quid, but you're not making £100. Honestly, if there are any Amazon FBA sellers that you follow on Instagram, TikTok, anything like that, and they're only posting orange bars and they've just do not post anything else, they're almost guaranteed just a scammer. They probably Photoshop the orange bars because they clearly do not run an Amazon business. Because if you want to be honest and truthful about how much you're making online, I think posting the orange bars is ridiculous. I pretty much never post those unless I'm purely talking about total revenue in a year or something like that. It's, 99% of the time I'm posting the Seller Toolkit screenshots because that is as close you can get to your actual money making figures before kind of doing like a whole accountant's review and stuff like that. Now, that said, Seller Toolkit is not 100% accurate. It is a little bit flawed, and that's because we're talking about gross profit when we're looking at those figures. It accounts for the VAT, it accounts for Amazon fees, it accounts for the actual cost of the item, but it doesn't account for a lot of other expenses. For example, staffing. It doesn't account for company expenses like my lovely company BMW outside. It doesn't account for so many other things that do take a hit out of your profits at the end of the day. Customer returns for me is definitely a big one. I sell a lot of tech, and with that, the returns could be a pain to deal with. You might get back an air fryer 6 months after someone's used it, and it can be a headache. And all these things are accounted for when your accountant looks through your accounts and gives you an accurate profit and loss report. But the reality is that most Amazon sellers aren't that clued up on their actual profit and loss. Now, if you're paying out your ass for your accountant and they're not giving you profit and loss reports every 3 months, and they're not being helpful for you to actually understand your numbers, there'll be a link on screen now, a little QR code to go and visit my accountant's website. Go chat to them, no affiliate link or anything, just amazing. They've helped me get a really good grip on my company accounts over the past year that I've been using them. They're Amazon specialists, and prior to this, I was just kind of using my local accountant firm, and to be honest, they were absolutely crap. I just don't think that they put that much effort into kind of helping me understand my business model. And so if you want to talk to an accountant that deals with a lot of OA sellers, with me included, go and chat to Kennedy's Accounting. They are absolutely brilliant. So now, the fun part, let's dig into my numbers. So I'm going to be showing you guys a profit and loss report from the period of October 1st, 2024 up until the 28th of February this year. Now, I've recently been looking at business finance, and so I had my accountants draw up a profit and loss report just so I can accurately give these lenders a snapshot of how my business is performing. And so I thought with that, it'd be fun to just share it with you guys, since, as I said earlier, no Amazon seller has ever done this before. And my kind of thing is I want to be as transparent as possible about how much I'm actually making and how well the business is performing. I don't want to just show you guys the gross profit and be, looking at these crazy high numbers and hiding things from you. I want to be 100% transparent. And so with that, I thought I'd share this. On my laptop now, on my lap, I've got up my Seller Toolkit screenshots for this same period. So you can see that I made just shy of £150,000 in gross profit in that same period, and about £880,000 in revenue. So pretty amazing results for 5 months. And I would be very happy if that was my net profit, but unfortunately there are a lot of other expenses to account for. So yeah, let's have a look at my actual profit and loss sheet. So yeah, we can see my turnover here is recorded at 765 grand. Now I'm not actually 100% sure why this differs to Seller Toolkit. That's something I'd have to either query Seller Toolkit themselves about or my accountant. I'm not 100% sure if I'm honest, but it's pretty close. Now in that time, my total cost for that revenue was about £658,000 with the cost of stock and administration costs, stuff like that. So yeah, you can already see the gross profit is now reduced from 147 to 107, so got a few costs there that are now properly accounted for. This will also include the cost of like returns and stuff like that that isn't properly fully reflected in Seller Toolkit. So yeah, that's a bit of a more reasonable figure. Obviously this figure is not as far from Seller Toolkit as you might think. You know, I'd say that's pretty good for still a 5-month period, but there are other costs as well. So if I scroll down, we can see my other kind of administrative expenses. So you can see I've paid myself about 5 grand from the company. We've got stuff like travel expenses, software costs, subscriptions. We've got costs for advertising, printing and postage. Lots of different costs that you can see on screen now that obviously are kind of a running cost of the business, but you know, you have got to be properly accounted for. Now of all these costs, you have to bear in mind that there are some that aren't really costs in a negative way. They're more me getting something from the company. So obviously the 5 grand, I'm just paying myself 5 grand. It's not really, you know, obviously it reduces my tax liability and is a cost to the company, but you know, I can't really complain about that cost. That's a cost to me. We've also got the cost of my car, my company car. I have a terrible finance deal on it. And I also have the cost of running it, hitting the curb as well, which did happen a couple months ago, which is unfortunate, but again, it's a company car, so I can expense that sort of stuff. You've also got the depreciation of the car, which is an interesting cost. This is something that, yeah, in 5 months, somehow my car has lost 4 grand in value. Do not buy a brand new BMW, buy a used one. Don't be an idiot, but you know, you only live once. So all in all, there is about £30,000 in expenses, or maybe like 25, of expenses that are all just for me, right? There's me buying a laptop. I bought another laptop as well as this, which was a lot more expensive, that one. So we've got all that cost for the car, the computing stuff, you know, paying myself, all this stuff that I would happily spend my own money on, but because I run a company and it's for business, I am able to company expense that and reduce my net liability of tax. Because at the end of the day, you realistically do want this report that I'm showing you guys now to show as little profit as possible. It's in your best interest to do every sneaky trick you can to kind of reduce the cost, you know, all legally. That being said, if anyone from HMRC is watching, I do not fudge my taxes. These are all legitimate expenses. You do want to have as many expenses as possible, and any excuse to just expense stuff, even stuff like your electricity bill and your mobile phone costs from like running the business from your house. You can expense all of that sort of stuff. And I do definitely make full use of it because I have the wonderful accountancy firm that I mentioned earlier in the video that have allowed me to greatly reduce my tax liability from all of these tips and tricks to just get your final profit figure as low as possible while still actually, you know, having quite a nice successful life. So yeah, if I scroll down, you can see that my total operating profit for this 5-month period is just shy of £80,000. So if we add on the 25k and extra expenses, we've made just about 100 grand in 5 months, which is absolutely fucking wonderful. You know, for a business that has 1 employee and I run from my living room the majority of the time, it's quite great. I mean, this isn't even my warehouse. This is the prep center that I use. It's an independently run company. I just pay per unit, and that means that I don't have to deal with staffing or, you know, just generally day-to-day running of an entire huge warehouse unit like this. Hello, this is Alex's warehouse. He wanted me to clarify that. But yeah, thankfully I don't have to deal with all those day-to-day kind of running costs. I don't have to pay rent on a warehouse unit, so I'm very lucky in that regard that prep centers are a thing. But yeah, obviously as you can see, so we've reduced from the Seller Toolkit figures of about 147 grand in profit. We reduced that all the way down to about 100 grand if you're accounting for the costs of just stuff like company cars, which I wouldn't say are necessary for business. If you really want full honesty from me, I could probably do my job without driving a very flashy BMW. But yeah, all in all, obviously still making a very good amount of money. But I think the screenshots that you might see other sellers posting when they're not being as transparent as this about their numbers, you got to take it with a pinch of salt because you don't know what other expenses they may have behind the scenes. I've talked to plenty of sellers, often in like consultation calls for our mentorship program and stuff, where they are posting amazing gross profit figures, but they just do not have a grip of all the kind of behind the scenes stuff. I don't know if you've ever seen that meme picture of Homer Simpson where he's got all the clips holding in his fat behind his back. And he looks great from the front, he looks great in the gross profit figures, but you've got to account for all that other stuff. You can't just be pinching in all your fat behind your back. You know, you've got to have a really good system for dealing with customer returns. You've got to have just a very good eye on the business and make sure that not a single unit is just kind of disappearing and going missing, because all of this stuff can take a really big chunk out of your profits if not properly accounted for. So yeah, I'd like to just end this segment on just saying I invite all of the other Amazon FBA gurus out there, you know, the UK ones especially, but the US ones are almost even worse for the scamming aspect of things. Post your actual net figures, you know, get your company accounts out. You must have a company accountant, so, you know, get them to make you a profit and loss and make a YouTube video just like this and detail this, because I think it is important to be open and transparent with people. Otherwise, frankly, it is just a little bit misleading posting, you know, crazy revenue figures when you really could just be making a loss. So there you have it. That's why you can never trust anyone in the Amazon FBA space posting, you know, millions and millions in revenue unless they're going to be posting at least seller toolkit screenshots. You know, that's good, but if anything, if they can post their actual net profit, their actual profit and loss reports from their accountant, you know that they are actually making money and they are who they say they are. You know, with the seller toolkit profits, you want to probably take off a third for all the other costs, because at the end of the day, there are so many little costs with Amazon FBA. It's a complicated business, especially at a scale. So, you know, there's a lot to account for. Now, the truth is that no one else that I know of in the Amazon FBA scene has ever posted this sort of data before. You know, everyone wants you to believe that they're making more money than they actually are so that they can just sell you a course. But when I speak to my mentorship students and those on my consultation calls, one of the main reasons that people say they're interested in taking me up on my mentorship offer is because I've been completely honest about my profits and I'm just a complete open book when it comes to Amazon. So if you want to learn more about Amazon FBA without the bullshit, without the fake numbers, and without the same fake guru who thinks they know it all, click the link in the video description and book in a free call with me so that we can discuss your current position in the business and how I can make you move forward within the Amazon FBA space. Now, I hope you guys really liked this video. I thought I'd come and film this one at ATP just to change up the scenery a little bit and give you a peek to the behind the scenes action. Now, make sure to like and subscribe on this video if you enjoyed it, and click up here for my take on the controversial opinion that Amazon FBA is dead. Spoiler, it's not.